Mahmoud Khalil, thank you so much for joining us here on the programme. You spent more than 100 days in detention. Just talk us through what went through your mind when all of that was happening.
Thanks, Yilda. Thanks for having me. I mean, it felt like kidnapping for the most part of it, when you have plainclothes agents and unmarked cars taking you from one place to another, expecting you just to follow orders and shackled all the time. So that was really scary, especially for that to happen in the United States without presenting any warrant arrest, or arrest warrant, or without presenting any crimes that I've committed. So it absolutely felt like kidnapping for the whole time. And for the next 30 hours, I was taken from one place to another, from New York to New Jersey to Texas, then to Louisiana, to a place where the Trump administration felt comfortable that they would get the outcome that they wished for.
Mahmoud, we all saw the images of you being taken away that day, images that your heavily pregnant wife filmed as you were taken. You say that for 30 hours you were taken from one location to another. Did you know where you were going?
At all. They wouldn't tell me where we're going. They wouldn't answer any of my questions. And even they wouldn't, I've asked about my wife, because the last thing I heard from them was that they're going to arrest my wife if she doesn't stop filming them. So that was really scary to me, and to keep me in the dark for over 30 minutes and just expect me to follow orders from one car to another, being shackled, absolutely was frightening.
When you finally arrived at the detention facility, just talk us through what that experience was like, because the US government maintains that these places are safe and humane.
These places are as far from humane as it could be. A place where you have no rights whatsoever. You don't know if you have rights in these places, where you share a dorm with over 70 men with no privacy, with lights on all the time, with really terrible food, and basically being dehumanized at every opportunity. So definitely it's far from that, and it's a black hole. That's why it is in a very remote area in Louisiana. It's literally in the middle of a swamp. Like in the summer, you can't go out because it's so hot, and on the inside it's very cold, and they would refuse to give you extra blankets to get some warmth. So absolutely, this is just one of again the lies that this administration has been spreading, whether about immigration or whether about me in specific, and about other cases.
At what point were you then given access to your lawyer and to your family?
It was the first day that I arrived in Louisiana, so approximately after 36 hours, I was allowed to speak to my wife, but still they refused for me to talk to my lawyers until we got a court order obliging the government to allow me to have a legal call with my lawyers, and these were very scary hours. Like, I did not know what's happening on the outside. I did not know that my wife is safe, and that what's happening. Like, I was surprised when I saw on the news that, well, like, Rubio has said all these horrible stuff about me, or Trump spewing all these lies also about my case and about who I am.
So far, the government has not accused you of breaking any laws in the court documents, but the administration officials have repeatedly said that you were involved in anti-Semitic activities, that you were agitating and supporting Hamas. Just your response to that?
these absolutely absurd allegations, and they are weaponizing anti-Semitism, weaponizing the anti-terrorism in order to stifle speech. What I was engaged in is simply opposing a genocide, opposing war crimes, opposing Columbia's university complicity in the war on Gaza. This is what I was involved in, and that's why they chose to send me to Louisiana. That's why they chose to weaponize the immigration system, a system that they fully control, like from A to Z, rather than actually presenting evidence and go to an actual court where they can actually look at the facts. So it's absolutely absurd, and it's scary that now they're weaponizing anti-Semitism in order to stifle speech and in order to police thought in this country. And I said it once and once again that I take anti-Semitism and safety concerns very, very seriously. And there's no place for hate and bigotry in the Palestine movement in the United States. But these are being deliberately misrepresented, distorted, just to stifle speech, because it's easier for them to cancel speech. It's easier for them to throw us in jail than actually reflect on what's actually happening, which is a genocide in Gaza, that the U.S. is fully complicit in it.
Have they shown you or told you specifically the kind of, or presented any evidence where, which constitutes you supporting Hamas or inciting anti-Semitism?
Nothing at all, literally nothing at all. And they are depending on tabloid articles from right-wing media that were basically not even fabricating evidence against me. Like there's literally nothing against me in the media. They are depending on articles about groups that I'm allegedly part of. But basically, all these are retaliation against my freedom of speech, because I spoke out and spoke up against the U.S. and Colombia complicity in the genocide in Palestine. And this should scare everyone in this country, that they are actually now using these fascist tactics in order to stifle speech.
There is an immigration act that says the Secretary of State can remove a person that they deem adverse to foreign policy. Just talk us through where your case stands now.
My case now is basically the court, the federal court, an actual court, did rule that my detention is likely unconstitutional, that the Rubio determination is unconstitutional, that a person shouldn't have this power to target individuals for their First Amendment, for their freedom of speech. So this is where it stands right now, and it's a beginning. Like, we are still at the very beginning of a long fight against this administration, and now we're seeking accountability from this administration for their targeting against me, for their baseless allegations, for their smear against me, and for their malicious prosecution against me.
Just talk us through how your lawyers are doing that, because I understand your lawyers have filed a claim for $20 million in damages against the Trump administration for alleging that you were falsely imprisoned, maliciously prosecuted, and smeared as an anti-Semite as the government sought to deport you over your prominent role in campus protests.
Yeah, we're filing a federal torts claim, which is basically presenting evidence and asking also for evidence from the government. Basically, we are showing that what the government did to me is as you've mentioned, is malicious prosecution, just for the sake of shutting me up and not to continue to speak for the rights of Palestinians. And it's just one the first step of accountability that I will seek now against everyone who took part in this. In this horrible campaign against me, and I mean, we have an alternative, which is an official apology from the administration to stop these fascist policies against freedom of expression against Palestinians in this country.
As you say, this is just the beginning of it, because the Trump administration is already appealing the court order that banned your deportation.
Yeah, and the Trump administration is basically waging a lawfare against me and against others. Now they appealed my release. They are appealing other wins that we got in court, and this is happening across all students who were targeted by this administration because the Trump administration, what they want to do is they want to keep these bogus allegations against us, like, to be over our head for the rest of our lives, to intimidate us, to make us stop speaking up for Palestine, and this will not succeed. And this is clear now that no matter how much oppression and suppression this administration will inflict upon us, we will continue our resistance. We will continue to speak up for the rights of Palestinians because this is what really matters. Like these all tactics are just distraction from what's really happening, which is the killing of Palestinians by the minute. Now that's happening. Only this week, over 100 Palestinians were killed waiting for aid, and this should outrage everyone around the world.
And of course, you missed the birth of your child, your firstborn. As we said at the beginning of this interview, your wife was heavily pregnant when you were taken away. Just, talk about how that was for you, knowing that she was giving birth and you didn't know when you would be released.
Yilda, to be honest, I don't think there's any word that can describe the agony and the sadness that I went through during that specific moment. To be deprived from such a divine moment, from a moment that my wife and I had always dreamed about. We planned so much for that moment, and to be deprived from that just because a politician did not like my speech in a country that's supposedly protects freedom of expression that's founded upon democracy, and I really don't think I can describe that moment and how I felt during that, and I don't think there's anything that will make up for missing the birth of my son and for missing being with my wife, supporting her during such a moment, of course.
You spoke there about continuing your protests. This administration has made it clear through detaining people like you and other protesters, other students, that they believe these protests are bad and they want them to stop. But will you continue?
Absolutely. These protests are basically simply asking that this government stop its investment and its support for war crimes. The protesters are asking their universities to stop using their tuition fees to be used in investments in weapon manufacturers and in companies complicit in human rights violations. And this is why they think it's bad. It's because these protests challenge the status quo, and because the Palestine question now is becoming mainstream. Now the American public and the public in general around the world are awakened to what's really happening in Palestine, where Israel, the occupier state, is depriving people from their rights. It's actually killing people every day, and most of it just like for fun, as was revealed like very recently. They kill people just for fun because they can do it, because there's no accountability to do that, and people are seeing through that truth and refuse to remain silent. That's why this administration, the Trump administration, with the support of Israel, are going the extra mile to prosecute speech against Israel. They are weaponizing anti-Semitism. They are weaponizing anti-terrorism. They are weaponizing everything. They are policing speech and slogans just to distract from the real threat, the real story, which is killing civilians for being Palestinians.